Our first point of focus is the realm of unfulfilled desires and how they influence our thoughts. Obsessive thinking about someone often stems from deep-seated desires that we have not yet realized or fulfilled. These desires can vary widely, from a longing for romantic love to a yearning for validation or acceptance. Desire is a powerful force. It's the fuel that drives us towards our goals, dreams, and aspirations. However, when desire is not balanced with a sense of contentment or detachment, it can lead to obsessive patterns of thought. The more intensely we desire something or someone, the more our thoughts tend to revolve around that object of desire. This is particularly true in the context of interpersonal relationships. In the world of manifestation, thoughts are seen as seeds that have the potential to grow into reality. Continuously thinking about someone can be akin to watering these seeds. But there's a fine line here, a balance that needs to be struck. When we cross over into the territory of obsession, we may inadvertently create a barrier to achieving our desires. This happens because obsession often carries with it an energy of desperation and lack, which can repel the very experiences we wish to attract. The key to breaking free from this cycle of obsessive thoughts lies in finding a balance between desire and detachment. This means acknowledging and honoring our desires, but also understanding that our happiness and sense of fulfillment do not depend solely on their realization. Embracing this balanced approach can help redirect our energies in a more positive and productive way, reducing the intensity and frequency of obsessive thoughts. Moving on to our second point, we encounter the mirror effect. This psychological phenomenon suggests that sometimes the people we obsess over are mirrors reflecting aspects of ourselves, aspects we are either not fully aware of or have yet to accept. When we find ourselves fixated on someone, it's often because they embody qualities we admire, desire, or conversely qualities we dislike in ourselves. This mirroring can be a subconscious attraction to traits we wish to develop or an aversion to traits we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. By understanding this reflection, we gain valuable insights into our own inner workings. Engaging in self-reflection allows us to explore why we are drawn to certain individuals and what this says about our own desires, fears, and insecurities. This process can be transformative, leading to greater self-awareness and personal growth. As we recognize and integrate these mirrored aspects, our obsessive thoughts often diminish, as the underlying need they were expressing gets addressed. Our third exploration takes us into the realm of emotional imprinting and past experiences. The obsessive thoughts we have about someone can be deeply rooted in our past, in the experiences that have shaped our emotional landscape. Emotional imprinting occurs when an experience, particularly a highly charged emotional one, leaves a lasting mark on our psyche. These imprints often influence our reactions and behaviors in ways we may not consciously realize. When we obsess over someone, it's possible that this person triggers or resonates with an emotional imprint from our past. To move beyond obsessive thoughts, it's crucial to address these emotional imprints. This involves delving into our past, understanding the experiences that have shaped us, and healing the wounds that may still be influencing our thoughts and behaviors. Through this process of introspection and healing, we can free ourselves from repetitive thought patterns and find greater peace and clarity. Our fourth point examines the power of habitual thinking in the context of obsessive thoughts. When we repeatedly think about someone, it can become a habit, a pattern, etched into the neural pathways of our brains. Habitual thinking is much like a well-trodden path through a forest. The more it's used, the more defined it becomes. Our brains are wired to favor familiar patterns, which means that once a thought pattern is established, it becomes the default path for our thoughts to travel. This is why we can find ourselves thinking about someone repeatedly, almost automatically. Changing this pattern requires conscious effort. It's about creating new pathways, new ways of thinking that divert us from the well-worn path of our obsessive thoughts. This can be achieved through various practices, such as mindfulness, meditation, or cognitive behavioral techniques. These practices help us become more aware of our thoughts and give us the tools to gently guide them in new directions. Our fifth point delves into the realms of imagination and fantasy, powerful tools that shape our perception and influence our thoughts, especially in the context of obsessing over someone. Imagination is a gift, a tool that allows us to envision possibilities, dream big, and create our reality in our minds. It fuels creativity and innovation. However, when it comes to relationships or our thoughts about others, imagination can lead us down a path of fantasy that diverges from reality. When we obsess over someone, we often construct a fantasy about who they are, how they might feel about us, or what a relationship with them could be like. These fantasies are seductive because they offer us a sense of control and perfection that real life rarely affords. However, they can also create unrealistic expectations and lead to a cycle of obsession and disappointment. Overindulgence in fantasies, especially about other people, can have several negative effects. It can create a false sense of connection or intimacy that doesn't exist in reality. It can lead us to overlook or dismiss the real qualities of the person, both positive and negative. Moreover, it can keep us trapped in a cycle of longing and frustration, as the reality never matches up to the perfection of our fantasies. The key to managing this tendency is to strike a balance between the use of imagination and a mindful presence in reality. While it's healthy to dream and imagine, it's equally important to remain grounded and present in the actual dynamics of our relationships and interactions. Mindfulness practices can be incredibly helpful in this regard, helping us to stay attuned to the present moment and reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Delving into a profound aspect of human psychology, the quest for wholeness and completion. This innate drive, often lurking beneath our conscious awareness, plays a significant role in why we may find ourselves obsessively thinking about someone. The concept of wholeness is deeply rooted in our psyche. It's a universal quest reflecting our desire to feel complete, fulfilled, and at peace with ourselves. This longing can manifest in various ways, including our relationships with others. When we obsess over someone, it may signal an underlying belief that this person holds the key to our sense of completeness. Projection is a psychological phenomenon where we attribute qualities, desires, or feelings to another person that are actually rooted within ourselves. In the context of obsessive thoughts, we might project our idealized self-image onto the person we are fixated on. We see in them the qualities we aspire to or believe we lack. This process of idealization can make our thoughts about the person take on an obsessive quality, as they become a symbol of our own unmet needs and desires. Many of us operate under the illusion that someone else can complete us or fill a void within us. This belief is often perpetuated by cultural narratives and romantic ideals. However, this notion is a misconception. True wholeness cannot be found in another person. It must be cultivated within ourselves. Relying on someone else for our happiness and sense of completeness is not only an immense burden for them, but also a fragile foundation for our well-being. The journey toward inner fulfillment and self-discovery is critical in overcoming obsessive thoughts about others. This involves turning our gaze inward and exploring our own depths. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, therapy, and journaling can facilitate this inward journey, helping us to understand and integrate the various aspects of ourselves. As we grow in self-awareness, we start to realize that we are complete in ourselves, and our reliance on external sources for fulfillment diminishes. Central to the idea of wholeness is self-love and self-acceptance. Often our obsession with someone else mirrors a lack of these qualities within ourselves. We may be seeking outside validation to compensate for feelings of inadequacy or unworthiness. Cultivating self-love involves acknowledging and embracing all parts of ourselves, including our flaws and vulnerabilities. When we truly accept and love ourselves, the need to obsess over someone else naturally lessens.